Hey everyone, welcome back to the HFSS series. And so far we have dealt with two-port MIMO, right? And you can see it right on your screen currently. We have done the two-port setup. Now we need to go ahead and do the four-port setup. So ideally you would want to have like a mirror of what is being shown here, but we would like to do this step by step so that you avoid any sort of confusion, errors, whatever. Now, to do that, first of all, you need to first understand what all we have already done and what we want to achieve next. Okay, so first things first, what we have done so far is that this port or this patch and the port remain in one place, and what is going away is this patch and the port, right? This is moving. Along with that, the substrate is also increasing along the y-axis. Okay, positive y. So we have done the y-axis part. We need to do the same thing along the x-axis. So to do that, what we first need to do is, let us say we want to increase it along this direction, so that would be negative x, right? So we'll go to the substrate and let us say we increase. Now currently it is positioned at minus 30, it's going till 60. Let's see if we increase this to 70. I assume it's going to go down, and if I take minus 60, it's going to go up. So I would want it to now come down to 100. Does it come down? No, it goes up. All right, so what if we take positive values, 80? Okay, this guy comes right in the middle, so we don't want that either. So what I'm trying to figure out is we need to increase it along this direction, right? And if we take 50, that means this is gonna start moving, and we don't want that either. So what we could do are a couple of things. First of all, we just have to experiment with the positioning, if at all it can help us out. What if I do this minus 60? Okay, now if I do minus 80, great. So what I did is, instead of having a minus 30 here, I have a plus 30, and then I have a negative 80, so that it increases in this direction while keeping it stable down here. Okay, so you have to like experiment with it. Only then will you be like able to identify what exactly you want to achieve and how exactly things are moving. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just keep it at minus 70 for now, or maybe like minus 90, for example. Nothing like I've calculated something in the background. I'm just like experimenting with, you guys. So now that this is clear, what I also like to do next is I would want you guys to just rename these things. Okay, because now we'll have more duplicates coming. Now these were duplicates, and then we'll have more duplicates coming out. So port, let's just go into this and make it port 1. Similarly, I would want to call this as patch 1, and this one is going to be renamed and called port 2. Apply. This guy will be patch 2. Okay, so why I'm doing that, you would come to know eventually, but I just like to rename it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to select these two guys, okay, and the ports, the respective ports, and we're going to come up and you're going to see, either you could do through mirror. Okay, in this case what would happen is you would get like the exact replica of these guys, and they are like overlapping at this point. Okay, so you want to move it up by a fair margin. But now if you notice, we have 4 different ports and we have 4 different patches. We have this, I'm gonna rename that to patch 4. Apply, and this will be my patch 3. Apply, and we want this fella to be my port 4. Now there's no hard and fast rule for numbering, it's up to you how you want to look at it. Okay, and this is going to be my This is going to be a port as well, port 3. So apply, and so now you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so you have 1, just to cross verify, 2, 3, and 4. So now that we have this done, we have to select port 3 and 4, and we have to select patch 3 and patch 4. And now that you've selected this, what you want to do is you want to move these guys. Okay, so move is simple. You want to move it along X, right? So let's say I'm gonna try to bring it as close to, okay, let's just move it for now. We still need to move it for sure, but let's just see how things are doing. Okay, so it's not it's not touching yet. Like these guys still need to move a lot more to reach here, but we are making progress. Okay, we'll just enable like um one variable for it maybe, and then we'll just have it moving together. Okay, so this way what we have done is that now, or maybe you know what, I would actually try this out. What if I make it 85? Okay, it goes way beyond. 87, 88, I guess. Nope, 90 is too much, so 89 it has to be. There's still some gap, so it's not like fully touching it yet. What if I do 89.5? Ooh. Oh, there's still some gap to deal with. If you notice, so either this, or what I also like to do sometimes is and what I've done previously is that I actually delete the substrate altogether. Okay, so that is done, and now I create a box from this port here, and I bring it all the way down till this one here. Okay, and now all we need to do is let it run, let it fine. Okay, this is the box that it created, and we don't have to worry about the size of the box. What we do need to worry is that we now need to vary it in the y-axis only. Okay, I need to make this 1.6 I cannot be seeing this. Okay, and it has to be positioned at 0 so that it goes down. Now if you notice, this substrate is pretty much perfectly in line with these guys. Now this initial position is where I would start. Okay, once we know the variables and what we need to put, everything gets sorted. Like we know this, right? So now at this point, what you can do is, since we got rid of the substrate and we know exactly that it is touching everything, including like, you know, the ports are perfectly in line with these guys, which it almost sort of is, except for these guys may have moved a bit along. Yeah, there it is. It has moved in the z-axis. Pretty straightforward to understand this. Okay, same thing, we need to remove these y-axis terms. Same thing we have to do for the ports. So the moment we do that, all of these guys will come in line. Okay, so now that is done. So now pretty much all of them are sitting perfectly at 0 comma, I mean the z is pretty much 0. The rest of it we don't really care of, because we will be dealing with it as we go on. Okay, so now this is what we have. What we need to do is we need to extend it along the y-axis, right? So we just have to come back here and possibly give it a different value. Let's say 80. What happens? It goes in that direction. And for the position, what I would do is I would want to move it along this line. So I would take it like maybe minus 40. Let's see what happens. Okay, it comes to this guy. And then from here, if I double this, make it maybe 160 altogether. Right. A very weird case. So let's just bring it back to 140-ish and see if things look similar. If not, okay. If I'm eyeballing this, it looks similar, but if we do want to check, I'll just drag a line. Okay, so what I'll do is, let us say we take a line from here till the point it meets. So that's around 21. Okay, so we know that this has to be also 21. Right, so let me just come back. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to move it from this guy to this guy. It is 26. So we need to just reduce by 5 mm. And I'll do that here. So instead of 150, I'll put 145. Done. Right, so what we have done so far is that I've just gone on and I've given ourselves the initial position that I would want to have it at. Okay, that's it. Now, of course, since we had deleted this, we have to put the same things back. Just hit apply, and okay, now we are back to our original case. Now this method, what I did of deleting the substrate and then re-adding back, has saved a lot of time in my case. Like I have managed to save a lot of time instead of like having those micro corrections over and over again. I would rather have this than anything else. Okay, so what we've done so far, we have just duplicated the setup that was here and we've just brought it up. Deleting substrate was a way in which we could ensure that the ports are sitting perfectly to the substrate and that they are in line with the rest of our things. Now, because we deleted the substrate, you must have noticed the ground has also disappeared. We need to get it back. So just a rectangle pretty much should do the case. I'll just rename this to ground. I don't know why that disappeared. Honestly, it shouldn't have, but here we are. That's okay. So we have our ground back. We have this as our initial setup. Now, here's the thing. You need to understand a few more things before we get going. I'll just quickly get rid of this guy here so that I don't have to deal with the ground part and perfect T and, save ourselves from a bunch of errors. Now, what we need to do is we need to understand which ports are going to move and which ones remain stable. What I mean by that is there are certain patches right here, like patch 1, 2, 3, and 4. You could go ahead with a 1, 2, 3, 4 setup. That's up to you. And whatever norm that you would want to follow, that's up to you. Okay, so in my case, I'm following this 1, 2, 3, 4 just for an example. Okay, whatever standard that is followed, you need to follow that. Now, what I mean by moving the patches and the ports, when we have a setup like this, or when I come back to the 2-port MIMO setup we had, one patch remained as it is wherever it was. The other one was moving away from it or like moving close to it. Whichever way your initial setup was, it was either coming to the left, which is more closer, or going to the right, it is moving away. Now what is happening is there will be one of these patches who remain as it is while the other one either moves away, and at the same time you will have these guys moving along in the x-axis. So that is, you will have these guys going down. So negative x. Now, which patch that is, which one is going to move, which one is not going to move, we need to figure that out. In any case, the results would remain the same because, even if you give, like, say, for example, this is the patch that you keep as the stable one, let's say the separation between these two would anyways remain a number that is going to move, like, okay, even if it is like 1 mm, for example, the separation between these two guys, not center to center, edge to edge, then let's say you make it 2, this is going to move to the left, right? Because this is the one that is stable. So what I'm trying to say is your distances will remain the same, so it won't affect which one which one is going to not move and which one's going to move, what is the distance, what is, all of those things are taken care of, right? So you just have to understand that when you're setting it up, you have to keep in mind that one of your thing is going to remain stable, the other ones are going to move. How do we decide that? The first thing that what I would like to do is I've rotated this, I guess that's why. What I like to do is that on most occasions I like to move along the positive, right? So if you see x axis, positive values are to the downside, so, and also the y-axis towards the right side. It's going to be nice to move in the positives of both. So that means I will select my patch and port 4 to remain stable while the rest of it moves. Now, this is just something that I like to do. If you want to move along, like if you want to keep this guy stable and move the others, it's totally fine. You're free to do that. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm keeping this guy or maybe this guy as the stable one and the rest are going to move. Okay, so what you do is, let's say I want to move patch 1. What moves with patch 1 is port 1, right? So I select these two. I also know that this patch is also going to move, so patch 2 and port 2 are going to move. This is confirmed. There's no changes that would happen to this. These guys will be moving together. So select these two guys and hit move. Okay, and you just have to click on this twice. Okay, now here's the way this works. You will see a lot of things have come up. The last move operation that we have done is the one that matters to us. Whatever else that we have done, like in the other cases, which I will get to, that does not play a role. Okay, so now these are the moves that we need to take care of. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now let's go into this move. Okay, and because this is moving in the x direction, positive x, let's just make this 1. You see the port has moved out, right? So I need this to move together. So what I do is I'm going to call this move x. This is going to be my variable. I'm keep it 0 and I'm going to also write hit OK, hit apply. Now this move x has to be placed in port 2 as well. So I come here, I go to the x part and I hit move x. Okay, hit apply. Now the same thing has to be applied for the 2 patches, so I'm going to do that real quick. Dollar move x, right? There it is, hit apply, and this guy also shall have the same. Now just for testing purposes, we will just move x, will increase it to, let's say, 15. What you notice is these guys are now moving in sync, the ports and the respective patches. Perfect. This part is done. Like now these guys are moving along the x-axis perfectly. Not an issue. Let's bring it back to 0 and apply. Okay, these values, I don't think this will play a role, or maybe they will. Let's see what happens. Okay. Now, what do we do next? We now need to figure out which one moves along the y-axis. We know for a fact, this guy will not move along this direction, y-axis, for sure, right? If you notice, y is to the right. This guy is not moving to the right. He's only going to move down, positive x only. So that means I will not be having any y element that is moving in this case. So it is only moving down, and this guy is remaining stable. Or maybe this guy's remaining. We'll see what happens. Let's come to this guy. I know for a fact this is going to come close and it's going to move away. It's going to move away as well as it's going to move down. That means I have to have a Y element here. So that means I'm going to come to patch 2, come to move, and I'm going to introduce a new variable, move Y, 0 mm, and hit OK. Where else will I have move Y is I'll have it for the port, the respective port. So dollar move Y. Now, the same thing has to be applied for another one, right? This one, move Y, has to be needed for the third patch. So what I would do is I won't really hamper with this, but I'll just select patch 3 and port 3, and I'm going to hit move. And I'll tell you why I'm doing this is because I want to have a separate move function that is just dealing with this variable that I have. So I'm going to put in, okay, where am I putting it? Port 3, yeah. Dollar move Y, apply. And the same thing needs to be applied for dollar move Y. Now this is something that I like to do. If you want to have it in this guy, it's totally fine. It's up to you. You know, it's your choice. Now just to test it out, let's see if we move Y, what happens. Move Y, let's make it 10, hit apply. Yes. So if you notice, the port, the patch, and the port and the patch, both of these guys moved, right? Now just for the sake of it, let's move this guy also. And now you see both of these guys are now moving together, and these guys are moving along y-axis. Exactly what we needed. So that means we have kept this guy stable. Okay, that's how I decided. If you have a design in mind, you want to keep something stable, you can do that too. It's up to you, because I've covered that part. Now the only section that is left is with regards to the substrate. Right, you want to be able to have the additional section added to it, right? I'll repeat what I just said because it is important. We just want to add what is added here, right? You just want to add that. So if I come back here and I have values all over the place, but this is what I will take care of. 145 along the Y, and if I say dollar move Y to be added with it, you see what happens? It's of course gone outside limits because we need to give this guy as mm as well. What do you notice? It has come back to its original position. And if I add this again, move X, make sure you write mm here, otherwise you're going to have, amazing values. The moment I do that, we are back to where we wanted it to be. The only thing we have to take care is the ground, but we'll get to that. Now again, we'll test this. Let's make this 15. Let's make this 15. The substrate is now perfectly in line with what we are dealing with. Only thing is ground. Ground, again, the same thing, right? Sorry for that. Ground is the exact same thing. We just need to have the addition. Right now, in this case, we have a minus 90. Now, we can always like make this a minus 30 and make this 90 and see if it works out for us. Right? It does not. Okay, so we need to figure this out. In that case, would it move up? It has to move along the negative x. Okay. Ground, where are you? Here you are. Negative x. So if the position becomes 45. Okay. 60. Okay. Let's just see if it is perfectly aligned. It doesn't look like, right? There is still some gap, and these guys will give me errors which I don't want. And this is, let's orient it again. Okay, so I'll just see ground -60. Should it do the case? Yeah, looks like -60 does the case, wherein it is in line with these guys. It is in line with these guys. Yeah, that's all my issue. Again, it's only because I've worked with this tool so much that I understand, like, okay, how the movement has to be. You may need some time, like, to understand the, the placement, the center position, and like the relative positions. It's not something that comes easily, but it does come. Okay, you just need to like keep designing and keep designing and keep moving ports here and there, and eventually you become immune to this. Okay, you eventually understand and you will get there, don't worry. But now I have positive values, and that's what I wanted, because now I will just add move x and move y. Keep in mind, you always have to look at the evaluated value. Always write okay, hit apply. Testing. Make this 10, make this 10, apply. Yes, the ground is now moving with us. Perfect. This should be it. Right now we know that whenever we move, we are getting the right results. So that means the only thing that is left is to set up the optometrics. So I'm just going to quickly do that since we have done it so many times. I'm just going to come to add all previous. Okay, cool. We need the move X to go from, let's say, 1 mm to 10 mm. Step size of 1. Add it. We need move Y to go from 1 to 10 and edit. And what I would like to do is have a sync out of these guys, so that we have 1 1 2 2 3 3 4 4. So basically it's going to move diagonally, almost like it's never going to go like this. It's going to go like this as well as down. And so if that is done, I think we can run the sweep and actually see the results. So I'll just quickly do that as well. So we need, what all do we need? We need S11, S22, S33, and S44. New report. Close this. Modify S11, S22, S33, and S44. Families all. Yes, perfect. Results, we need the gain, right? So far fields, rectangle. I'm just gonna take the sweep for now. 2.4, all of them are there, and dB. New report. Right, I think for now we'll worry about these two. Eventually output variables we do have, like the S12 and S22 and S11. We need to have more equations for it, but of course that you can figure out, right? So now what we need to do is we need to run the sweep. So I'm going to do that, and hopefully there are no errors that show up, right? And we're gonna run this here. So once the sweep is done, I'm gonna come back and we'll analyze what we found. Okay, so looks like the sweep is done. So let's see. Okay, well, we do have a bunch of different values, and what we need to see is how well it has come for 2.4. So you would want to choose one of those sweeps that is giving you, you have to neglect these guys anywhere from -9.45. So this guy's onwards, you'll have to choose. Now this one is basically, which one is it? let's see. Okay, it's the 1 comma 1, right? So you'll have to see which 4, or rather which combination is ensuring that the 4 S parameters, S11, S22, S33, and S44, is below -10. That's your first step. And let's just see the gain. Oh my goodness. What we should have done is we should have put max in front of this fella, which we missed out on. But considering that we've done this, all right, let's see. Gain is somewhere around 3, right? So of course, like, this is not the perfect results. What you would want to do is now move ahead, go from say 10 to 15, for example. Do the same thing, 10 to 15, update, okay, and then rerun the simulation. Now in this case it's 5 more, but that is going to be the process in which you go about with the sweeps. And since you're collecting all the data right here, what you would want to do is then export it, and when you export, you're going to get a CSV file out of it. So just so I can push a little more laziness into my users, or rather my viewers, is that you could always export the S parameter graph, right? So you're gonna get the CSV files. You can put it up to some generative AI tool, say for example Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever is your choice, and from there just ask it to extract the best S11, S22, S33, S44, while ensuring that you also export the S21, S31, S41. And because we also say that S21 and S12 would be the same, we are not going to go ahead and plot S12. Let's go to the next best combination. Then we have S42, then we need S34, right? So new report out of these guys. And we want all these values, the wrong marker. We need this guy at 2.4 giga. And I would say the isolation is pretty good, right? For which case is this going to be, that we need to figure out. But you will see you have a bunch of different values and you have the respective graph. Right? And isolation seems to be pretty nice. Right? In most occasions, it's, except for this one, it should be less than -50. This guy is just perfect. Below this, everything is good. And it's improving, hopefully. Right? So you could also give out, export this and give it to some AI tool, make sure it analyzes it. It would give you the best case in your sweeps, take that in and shove it here, those values, move X and move Y, and you are good to go. Now, there could be cases where you don't want to sync these guys up and you actually want to see maybe have an independent X and Y. That is also possible. You could do that, because all I've done is I've synced these guys up. You could unsync them, and the moment you do that, you're gonna have a lot more variables. Of course, in this case there'll be 36 of them. So run those, see what happens. If there is a certain combination that works out for you, of course, once you export the results, you will be able to figure that out. So in that way, you will be good to go, in terms of understanding what exactly is the best kind of scenario. Now, remember when we dealt with the ECCs and the tasks and all those guys? Yep, that also needs to be done, right? So you will have your output variables. You'll have to take a new report. And what I would do is I will have all the formulae that you would need with regards to S11, or rather ECC12, ECC13, ECC 14, and all those things. So you just have to go ahead and do the same thing for TG and TARC. So I'll have all the formulae in the description box so that it's easier for you to just go ahead and copy paste. I've shown how to put the output variables in the last one, so have a look at that. And once you're done, if this process has helped you out in getting the right results, of course it should, or maybe you could have some sort of let's say, for example, you could possibly do DGS if you are referring to research papers and you're trying to, let's say, imitate one of those shapes. You could run a small sweep of, okay, maybe you're not getting the positioning right. Just run a small sweep from, say, 1 mm to 3 mm and have a step size of around 0.02 or 0.2 and see how exactly things end up being. Okay, so this is one of the ways in which you can actually go ahead with a 4-port MIMO setup. As I was speaking here, we got more results in. So if you notice, the best gain was coming somewhere around 13 of around 3.9, right? So you could test out for that. So based on what your focus is, maybe you want to increase the gain, introduce DGS, or maybe you want to have just good matching altogether, then S11, S22s, S33s, and S44s should be your go-to. Ensure that there is good results in terms of isolation as well, S12, S23, and all those guys, the combinations. And last but not the least, ECC, DG, TARC, and CCL. These 4, the formulae will be down below, so you can just copy paste it into HFSS. And I think with that, we come to an end of with the 4-port and with this series. What I would also quickly like to add is the fields. This is important because in this current situation that is running, you have only one port that is actually receiving power. What you would like to do is you would want to have another one of these guys having power. Hit apply. This would obviously mean you have to run the this plot again. The gain plots will need to be run again because now there are two of the patches that are receiving power. 2 patches are receiving power, yes, and so that means now the gain may or may not increase. Okay, if it's the isolation that is good, in our case it should increase. Technically it should, but what I've read through and what I've learned, I may be wrong on this, I would like you guys to research as well, is that when you're doing a 2-port setup, you have one transmitting, one receiving. When you have a 4-port setup, what you like to do ideally is have at least 2 of these guys transmitting and 2 of these guys receiving. Okay, so that means the what I did here, HFSS fields, edit sources, and I added power to one of these ports. You would need 2 ports having power so that you don't face issues. Is what I've read. Now I'm not entirely sure with this. Don't quote me on this because which ports to give power to, which ones not to give power to. This is not something that I'm fully aware of. But this is something that I'm pretty sure you would get answers to using all of the various tools currently available in today's world, and you would be able to sort it out. So I think that shouldn't be a problem. But the main idea behind this video series was to take you from the basics of HFSS, bring you to 2-port MIMO, and now bring you to the 4-port MIMO. You can always extend further, get into 8-port MIMO, 16-port MIMO. It's up to you, but this is one of the ways in which you could possibly do MIMO. And I've tried my best to make it as simple as possible in terms of understanding and in terms of setup. I understand HFSS has a small learning curve initially, and I've seen my colleagues sort of have a tough time with it, and I've seen them struggle to get going from a single port or a single patch antenna to a 2-port MIMO, then get to a 4-port MIMO. It has been a task for them, and for me, figuring this way out using all these tools that are already available, I also figured that there were not a lot of videos online emphasizing on this, which I don't know why that happened, but Yeah, so this was one of the ways in which I went about with the MIMO, as well as with all the other things I've done so far in this series. Um, this does mark the end of the series unless something else pops up, or you guys want to suggest something, then please go ahead. The comment section is all yours. And if at all it is needed, then we can definitely bring in more videos into this series, into this course on Ansys HFSS. But I think as of now, that should be it. Um, if you guys have any sort of doubts, issues, please do feel free to reach out. And yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've learned something or the other, you've taken something or the other away from it. If yes, I would only appreciate you to just go ahead and like the video, probably subscribe if you want to get into other stuff that I am going to be uploading. I have a few more things coming out pretty soon, so check it out. And leave a comment, leave your suggestions, your opinions. I'm always open to it. I'm, you know, a student as well, so I'm always learning. And yeah, that said, thank you so much and see you around.